Do you know about the Emtrasur Boeing 747-300 that was seized at Buenos Aires Ezeiza International Airport last year? The fact that the plane is still there while the FBI is investigating is making people in Venezuela angry. People with ties to the Venezuelan government have recently asked the government to follow the eye for an eye rule and take a Boeing 737 MAX plane from Aerolneas Argentinas, which is the national airline of Argentina. And only recently did they get a chance. Let's take a closer look at this, shall we? What exactly happened with the 747 that Emtrasur owns? In December of last year, a Venezuelan freight airline called Emtrasur flew a Boeing 747 with the registration number YV3531 into Buenos Aires. What seemed like a normal job at first turned into a very political event that people all over the world watched. The plane was taken over by Argentine officials, and the U.S. government made a formal request to seize the grounded plane on the grounds that Mahan's air sale of the plane to Emtrasur was a clear violation of U.S. export laws. Emtrasur is the freight branch of Conviasa, which is Venezuela's national airline. In June 2022, the event happened for the first time. At first, the public's attention was on the flying crew. On Emtrasur's 747, there were a total of 19 cabin crew members, and 5 of them were from Iran. Even though the plane is still in Argentina, it is now fully in the hands of the U.S. government. Clark said that FBI agents have taken control of the plane and all of its papers. They are making sure the Super Jumbo is ready to fly by starting and stopping its engines and giving it more fuel. Since June of last year, the 747 has not been used. However, there have been unverified rumors on social media that the plane may be moved to Victoryville, which is in the U.S. An eye for an eye. Over the past few months, many people in Venezuela who use Twitter have asked for the Emtrasur 747 to be sent back to the South American country. Maiqueta International Airport is one of the most important airports in Venezuela. At some point, the airport's official Twitter account sent out 2 tweets asking the government of Argentina to return the plane. In the tweets, it was said that the plane was being taken without any reason. This week, Aerolneas Argentinas Boeing 737 MAX safely landed in Caracas after being out of service for 6 years. In order to get to the Copa Sudamericana, the San Lorenzo football team took a charter trip on a plane with the registration number LVKEJ. Estudiantes de Merida was supposed to be their opponent in the game. Members of the Venezuelan dictatorship and allies of the regime quickly asked the government to seize the plane. Someone on Twitter said that it might not be a bad idea to take the Boeing 747 that Emtrasur owns until we get the situation under control. Despite this, the Venezuelan government did not do anything about it. The San Lorenzo football team was on board an Aerolneas Argentinas plane when it landed and took off. Why did the U.S. take the plane? This Boeing 747 was made at the Boeing plant in Everett, Washington, in the middle of the 1980s. Since it was made in the U.S., it has to follow the rules of that country. A statement from the Department of Justice says Mahan Air broke the temporary denial order and U.S. export control laws when it gave the Boeing aircraft to Emtrasur without permission from the U.S. government. Then, between February and May 2022, Emtrasur sent the plane back to Caracas, Venezuela, Tehran, Iran, and Moscow, Russia, without permission from the U.S. government. This was another violation of U.S. export control rules. Operation Payback says that football has become a religion. Let's jump ahead to April in the year 2023. Both the Copa Libertadores and the Copa Sudamericana are seen as the most important South American soccer events. I won't waste time talking about the differences, but there is a similarity with the UEFA Champions League and the Europa League. Both of these are subcontinental tournaments, and clubs can qualify for one or the other by finishing in different places in their national leagues. At this point, you should know everything you need to know. Continuing on. Because there is an initial group stage with strong rules to keep teams from the same country from being in the same group, teams have to travel a lot across South America to play against other teams in their group. So, Argentinian teams have covered a lot of miles in just the last week. River Plate flew to Bolivia, Racing Club went to Paraguay, and San Lorenzo and Boca went to Venezuela to play Estudiantes de Merida and Monagas, 2 teams from that country. Even though El Viga Airport isn't allowed to take a 737, the San Lorenzo players left Buenos Aires on a Boeing 737 MAX with the registration LVKEJ that belonged to Aerolneas Argentinas. Their first stop was Caracas, and after that, they went to Merida. When it became clear that an Aerolneas Argentinas plane was going to land in Venezuela, even though the plane is legally owned by Air Lease Corporation, conspiracy theorists rarely read the fine print. A number of staunch supporters of the Chavez dictatorship called for action and wanted the plane taken away. One of them wrote on social media, "Holding that plane until Emtrasur gives us back our 747 wouldn't be such a bad idea," implying that the delay might not be such a bad thing. As a form of punishment, the plane was asked to be taken away in hundreds of texts that came after. Another hardliner said straight to Maduro and Diosdado Cabello, a former interim president, vice president, minister, and current member of the Venezuelan House of Representatives, "Hold that plane until they return ours." Cabello is a member of the House of Representatives in Venezuela right now. But despite the wishes of some loyalists, Venezuela will not do anything about the plane that arrived in the country on April 3rd and left on April 5th. The Boca team arrived in April 5th in the morning on another 737 MAX. This one had the registration number LVHKU. On April 6th, the players are set to return to Argentina. Sources inside the company said that the planes are running normally, and they didn't think anything else would be done about the problem. Once the second plane lands in Argentina, the idea of a strange lex talionis will start to fade away, just as that big Venezuelan Iranian Boeing 747 probably wanted to. Now, let's answer some questions that people often ask. The Boeing 737 MAX? The Boeing 737 MAX is a type of narrow-body aircraft made by the United States-based Boeing Commercial Airlines branch. It was made public on August 30th, 2011, and flew for the first time on January 29th, 2016. The new series will fight with the Airbus A320neo family, which was made by Boeing as the 737 Next Generation. When it comes to the market for single-aisle planes, the 737 MAX is more comfortable for passengers, better for the environment, and more efficient. What about the way a 737 MAX is made is different from a 737? The Boeing 737 MAX is the model in the 737 family that has the newest and most important technological improvements. The flying deck of the 737 MAX is set up in a modern way and has new engines that use less fuel. The LEAP 1B engines it uses get a lot more miles to the gallon. Also, the flight deck has been updated with state-of-the-art avionics and the most powerful weather radar system in its class. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video.